Congratulations to all of you here for being alive until the end of the year. Have those who take the Dharma course returned? I haven't checked those people out yet. I was busy with the invitation to give Dharma talks in Laos. It's going to be in the next June. I have not yet gotten the passport. Ha ha ha. Not that easy for a monk passport. The process has to go through the Sangha Supreme Council of Thailand. Observe your mind. Don't you see that when I am talking about things that are not related to the Dharma, you enjoy it more? Getting lost in joy. Keep reading your minds, just like reading a book. It is the greatest book, believe it or not. For this book, if you truly understand it, the mind will not suffer any longer. The other books don't really benefit you that much. And you will forget it pretty soon. If we read and understand this mind, it will not be forgotten. See the truth instead of thinking about the Dharma. The Dharma from thoughts, reading, and listening to podcasts or YouTube will be forgotten in a short period of time. However, the Dharma gained from reading from one's own mind will never be forgotten. It is with us, being carried to the next lives. If you can finish it, finish it. Do not wait for somebody else. Any rebirth brings us suffering. Because every time we are reborn, we will encounter pain, aging, and death. We will certainly lose things we love and things we are satisfied with. We will certainly encounter dissatisfaction. Things that we do not like and things we hate. We will encounter loss and disappointment. These are all the result of rebirth. Therefore, most people celebrate birthdays, not knowing that they are celebrating the day they begin to suffer. The starting point of suffering is a rebirth. However, the end of suffering is not the day that death occurs. Suffering also continues after death. Therefore, for the cycle of rebirth and death, the ancestors said that is like chicken and egg problem. The origination is unknown, as well as an end. Like walking at an unknown place. Life is something that we don't know. Do we know what we will encounter? We don't know what will happen today and the following lives. During the breakfast, one of us might die from food suffocation, who knows? I have seen it before. Very healthy person. The person got food stuck in the wrong pipe, causing suffocation for 5 minutes. Then that person died. We have no idea what will happen to our life. That's the fear of samsara or cycle of death and rebirth. However, we feel that life is stable and forever. Do you feel that you do not think you will perish today? No one thinks of it, even though that might be what happens. We do not have any knowledge about our life until we start practicing the Dharma as appropriate. Then we will have the ability to live in presence. Others usually think about the past and are worried about the future. An old person will likely think much about the past. Similarly, a young person will likely think much about the future. Teenagers will likely chase a partner and try to walk on their career path to survive, even though we do not know a thing about life and what is going to happen. All you can do is guessing. So life is full of uncertainty. Life is not under our control. If we practice the Dharma, we start establishing the certainty of our life to guarantee ourselves. If we keep practicing, what happens in our life will not affect our minds. The mind will always happy and peaceful. If we get old, it will not bother us. If we receive pain, it will not bother us. If we are about to die, it will not bother us. There may be an emergency or bad thing like losing a loved one, for an example. Our loved one is a great driver and polite when he drives, but others are not. Going off the opposite lane, crushing our loved one into death. Therefore, our loved one will be apart from you at any time. We may be a loved one for others, so similarly they may lose us at any time. It is truly unknown. In our life, we don't know what will happen to us even today. Somebody wants to know so much and ends up consulting a fortune teller. You cannot really rely on them. Many of you here like consulting a fortune teller. Any of you here did not win the lottery yesterday? What a New Year celebration. When we buy a lottery ticket, we do hope that we will win the prize. However, we do not. Somebody else wins it. It's uncertain. We don't know when the lottery gets shuffled, we will get richer or poorer. As you can see, there is not a thing that we know. And why do we still want this lifestyle full of unknowns? Let's develop the foundation of knowledge, knowing the truth of our lives. The things that are compassed in life are physical and mental components. Physical components form this physical body. On the other hand, mental components are feelings, thoughts, and emotions. Feeling, happy and unhappy. Thoughts, memory, and perception, forming positive and negative emotions. There's also a sensor or so-called the mind. These 5 things are compassed to be ourselves. It is possible that we learn the truth of ourselves. The truth of the body is that it is what suffers. The way to do it is to encounter it. Don't run away. People in this world run away from the truth because they cannot accept the truth. There are lots of ways to escape from the truth. They are developed over time, deluding ourselves on and on. Going on Facebook and Line app is also escaping from the truth. When posting something stupid, the fellows will come to press that like button so that when they post something, that person will return the favor. In fact, the things that we post are all nonsense, but the fellows say that they are interesting, although they did not mean it. You are not deluding yourself but also others. Let's face the truth. You're no longer a baby. Babies dream about what they want to become. We are all grown up, so learn the truth. Be in the present to see what it is in front of us. This body is full of pain. Don't you see it? Don't wait until you get ill to see it. It is painful every breath in and out. It is painful every gesture, including standing, walking, sitting, and laying down. Is it painful when sitting? Keep observing the body. Most of the time it runs away from the truth. It doesn't want to see it. He or she is afraid to observe himself or herself because of being afraid of the truth, staying self-deluded. Now, time is up to run away. Encounter the truth within this body and mind. The body is full of pain or suffering. In fact, it is not full of happiness. This body is not adorable or beautiful but filthy and unclean. This body is unstable and impermanent. It doesn't produce happiness as we thought. It is full of suffering. This body is not under our control. It does not do anything we want or desire. For instance, if we don't want to age, it keeps aging. If we don't want pain, there will be pain in this body. If we don't want to die, it will die. The more you are worried about getting old, it gets older and older because of the mind being stressful. As I speak, observe your body. When seeing the truth of the body that it is filthy and unclean, unstable or impermanent, painful, uncontrollable, the amount of clinging to this body will decrease. When seeing the truth, it doesn't cling. When it doesn't cling, the mind accepts the truth. Then the mind will no longer suffer because of the body. When the body is old, it is normal for the body. When the body is being put on pain, it is normal for the body. When the body is dying, it is normal for the body. When you see the truth of the body, the evil or defilements in the heart will be greatly reduced. For instance, if we see the truth of the body, there will not be kama raka, meaning sensual desire or wanting feeling, as well as padika, meaning anger or feeling of dissatisfaction. The mind will not go up because of sensual desire, nor go down because of anger or feeling of dissatisfaction. That's the result of seeing the truth of the body. If we don't see the truth of the body, there's still be satisfaction and dissatisfaction. Learn about yourself so that you can reduce pain and suffering. Suffering or pain is the opposite of wisdom. When gaining wisdom, suffering is fading away. The reason that we suffer forever is that we have not encountered the truth. Always running away from it. When the body is filthy and unclean, the first thing in the morning is to clean it. Earlier this morning, is there anyone who did not take a shower? Raise your hand, please. Why take a shower? It's because the body is filthy. We didn't do anything to the body. In the morning, your face is full of wax, don't you see? Your breath smells pretty bad. It is not time yet you want to talk to others. Your mouth stinks because it was closed for a long time. When you poop, it also stinks. Therefore, this very body is very filthy. It is not as beautiful as we think it is. When we see others as handsome or pretty because we don't really look at them. If we really look, there's no one that's handsome or pretty. In the past, there was a master. His name is Juan. Before he became a monk, he was falling in love with someone. That person was a gorgeous lady in the same village that he was falling in love with. The reason he wanted to be ordained is that he saw the stool of that gorgeous lady. A long time ago, there wasn't a sanitary system built into a house, so people used to poop in farmland, behind bushes. He saw hers. He realized that it is filthy and stinks, not as adorable as he thought. The body fools us pretty well, in fact. It is disgustingly dirty waste trapped with skins. The skins fool us into delusion. For instance, do you look pretty or handsome without the skins? Imagine with your entire body gets extremely burned from fire or boiling water. The skins come off leaving the red flesh appearance. Not pretty. How thick are our skins? Extremely thin. Even this very thin skin is capable of fooling us. It appears beautiful and pretty. The thicker skins are your facial skins. The other part of the skin is very thin still. The foreigners or the Chinese audience might have been confused why the facial skins are so thick. The direct translation, it means corns and calluses on face. It is a Thai idiomatic expression for shameless. We have to explain this for the Chinese, otherwise they would get curious why the Thais have thicker facial skins. Ha ha ha. As you can see, these thin skins can fool us completely, so we're not so smart. Learn the truth of the body, that it is full of filthy and unclean stuff, and full of stuff that is temporary. How can this body is permanent? Because it is breathing in and breathing out. It is getting closer to death every breath it takes. Is it true? By using critical and logical thinking, it appears to be true that we are getting closer to death every time we breathe. However, the mind still does not accept it. It does not as long as it runs away from the truth. This body is so unstable. Easy to die. The enlightened one has the analogy for this body as a traditional cooking pot which is made of mud. Nowadays we use cooking pots made of metal which is much more durable. During the time of the enlightened one or great-grandparents, traditional cooking pots made of mud were used. It requires extra caution. Using it without caution will likely break it. The enlightened one taught that this body is like that traditional cooking pot. It is hard to maintain and it is so fragile. It breaks easily when not being taken care of very well. Try closing your eyes and walk across the road. The body will be broken. Something will break it. For another example, when you go out for hiking, enjoying nature and sightseeing and accidentally step on a snake. When that snake bites, then the body will be broken just like that cooking pot. Therefore the body is fragile, temporary, and difficult to maintain. So when we have learned the truth of the body, we will be cautious in our life. We would think about what we want to do before we die. But don't do things that are evil. It should not be like I want to rape someone before I die because I will not be in prison anyway, because I am about to die. Doing such a thing is hopeless. It's for those who have the wrong view. For any good and wholesome that we have not accomplished, you'd better hurry. We don't know when we are going to die because this life is the most fragile thing. Keep developing the wholesome. Any wholesome you haven't done, do it as soon as you can. Any unwholesome that you haven't abandoned, abandon it as soon as you can. Do not wait until you get old to do it. In the past, I knew lots of people that said they would practice the mindfulness when turning to 50 years old. Being 50 is the starting point. For the time being, they wanted to enjoy the delusion. Unfortunately, they did not make it to the 50s, so they did not practice the mindfulness or the Dharma. For you guys, does anyone think or plan to practice when turning to 50 years old? Anybody? Please raise your hand. Or being ordained in the 50s? Nobody? Oh, there is one person right there. So brave. How old are you now? Already in the 50s. Have you yet dedicated to the mindfulness practice? Hurry up, you are old already. I have been practicing since I was 7. All of a sudden, I am now almost 70 years old. Time is short. A year flying by quick. Keep practicing. With the practice, you will not feel so bad because you know you have been practicing. In this life, you have achieved what you want. The peaceful happiness. Becoming ordained gives us peaceful happiness. It feels content, not being hungry. The mind that is not content is the mind that is hungry, wanting things after another. It forgets the truth of life, so it struggles to find things that are nonsense. Somebody struggles to find a life partner. It is not truly beneficial. Having a life partner will be boring after a while. I do not want to ask who else here gets bored with a life partner. The answer is already in your mind. Therefore, learn the truth of yourself. The things that are compassed to be yourself are the physical body and all kinds of feelings, happy, unhappy, good and evil, the consciousness which has 3 components. The first is the mind, which is nature that perceives emotions. Second, it is mental feelings that occur with mind instances. For instance, happiness and unhappiness are not the mind's, but something that occurs in the mind. Greed, anger, and delusion are not the mind's, but what occurs in the mind. These are called jatasika, meaning mental states. We are learning things that are compassed to be ourselves, including the mind and mental states which are happiness, unhappiness, good, and evil. Third, we are learning the physical matters which in fact it is this body. In conclusion, the things that are compassed to be ourselves are these 3 components, the physical body, mental states, and the consciousness or the mind. Then we learn to see if these 3 components are temporary or not temporary. Are they happiness or suffering? Are they controllable as we wish or uncontrollable? See the truth. Seeing the truth of the body, feelings of the body, and feeling of the mind is called vipassana, meaning insight development. How can we learn the truth of the body, feelings, and the mind? First of all, be aware of ourselves. If we daydream, we are being lost in thoughts. Do you see, when we daydream, we are lost in thoughts, knowing the stories made up by the mind? At that moment, you're not aware of the body. At that moment, you're not aware of your feelings and thoughts. Similarly, you're not aware of the mind itself or not being conscious because the mind is deluded or clings to the thoughts or something else. People in this world pay attention to external objects, not the eyes. They pay attention to external sounds, but not the ears. They pay attention to external scent, not the nose. They pay attention to external tastes, but not the tongue. For instance, when you eat you know the food is yummy while not being aware of the tongue. They pay attention to physical contact, not the body. They pay attention to thoughts, not paying attention to the characteristics of those thoughts. We usually pay attention to things that are external, not paying attention to yourself. Forgetting about yourself at all times. If we want to become a mindfulness practitioner, pay attention to yourself. Do not daydream because you do not pay attention to yourself by doing that. From daydreaming through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, physical body, and thoughts, daydreaming through thoughts is the most frequent. Daydreaming through eyes is when the mind goes off to see. Daydreaming through thoughts is when the mind goes off to think. For instance, when there's a car accident, you want to see it, and that's daydreaming through the eyes. At that moment, the mind goes off with the eyes. Similarly, when the neighbor gossips, you daydream through the ears. We like to pay attention to external objects. Do not daydream. Be aware of yourself. Feel the body. Feel the feelings. Feel your own mind. Keep practicing. In the meantime, do not control the body. Do not control the feelings. Do not control the mind. We like to control our body when thinking about mindfulness practice. When doing walking meditation, we walk differently from the way we normally walk. When doing sitting meditation, we have to sit differently from the way we normally sit. We think that when practicing, any action has to be more than normal. When you eat, you move and eat so slowly. Even though the food has gone bad, you haven't finished eating. We are so lingering. In fact, we control ourselves too much. We want to see the truth, so stop pretending to hide the truth. For example, the truth is that in our mind, there's so much evil. When defilements arise in our heart, just be aware. Do not make your mind empty. It's empty and you don't see evil, but you have yourself convinced that you're so noble that you don't have defilements. It is self-fooling. Therefore, when we are doing vipassana or insight development, we want to see the truth of the body, the truth of the feelings, and the truth of the mind. To see the truth of them, we have to be mindful. When we are not mindful, our mind wanders off for something else, ignoring the body, the feelings, and the mind. Also, do not control or alter the body, the feelings, and the mind. When we change the nature of them, we will not see the truth because the truth is hidden. Feel the body naturally with comfort. Feel within this body. Feel the feelings and be aware of how the mind works. Keep feeling them. In the beginning, you can start with any of them. If you cannot see the mind, you can start observing just a body. When seeing the body breathing, see that this body is not us. It is what suffers. We breathe in because it suffers. We breathe out because it suffers. When standing, the body is standing. It is not we that are standing. When the body is sitting, walking, and laying down, it is not us. It is physical matters that move. Why does the body move? It does because it suffers. Sitting for a long time suffers. Standing for a long time suffers also. Don't you see that you have to keep changing postures? Be mindful of the body until eventually you understand that this very body suffers. Also, it is temporary. It breathes in. It breathes out. Sometimes, it stands and walks, sits, and lays down other times. Impermanent. Body standing is temporary, as well as sitting and laying down. All the movement and all that being static arise and fall away. That's how you observe the body. How do you observe the feelings? Feel the way it feels as it is. When it feels happy, be aware. When it feels unhappy, be aware. When it feels angry, be aware. When it feels greedy, deluded, depressed, chaotic, be aware as it is appearing. Do not pretend to be a nice person. Do not pretend that you're happy. When it is happy, know as it is. When it is unhappy, know as it is. When it is good, angry, greedy or wanting, and deluding, know as it is. We are aware of those feelings after they arise. Do not intentionally wait for it to happen. Don't do like, oh, how does it feel now? Let me see it. It will be blurry. Nothing to observe. Let the mind work naturally, so it will change, so we can observe. Sometimes it's happy and unhappy, angry, wanting, and deluded other times. The feeling will keep changing and the truth is right there. The truth of the feeling is that it is temporary or impermanent. Being happy is temporary as well as unhappy, wholesome, wanting, angry, deluded, chaotic, and depressed. Therefore, keep practicing and you will see the truth as I just mentioned. So far we have learned two things. First, how to learn about the body. Keep observing it. Do not daydream. Be aware of the body. Do not control the body. Soon you will see the truth of the body, that it is full of suffering or pain, and it is not under our control. Second, how to learn about the truth of feelings. We will realize that all feelings are temporary. Happiness is temporary, as well as unhappiness, wholesomeness, and unwholesomeness. Finally, we learn about our mind. It is also temporary. It will go off to see sometimes. It will go off to listen and think other times. The behavior of the mind is that it arises and falls away at the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the physical body, and thoughts. These six senses are the places for the mind to arise. When it arises with the eyes, it sees visual. When it arises with the ear, it hears sounds. When it arises with the nose, it smells scents. However, when we daydream, we will not smell scents. For instance, when there's dog poop on the street, you might not be able to smell it because you are daydreaming. With the daydream, you can even step on it. With the daydream, you might not even know that you have stepped on it. When you drive, it smells, and you might have blamed a dog that might have got into your car and pooped in it. Poor dog. Therefore, keep feeling the body to see the truth of the body, the feelings, and the mind, that the mind can go off to see visual, hear sounds, smell scents, tastes favor, sense physical contact, and make emotion with thoughts. Actually, going off is not the right word, because when the mind arises in the eyes, then it falls away as well as other senses. The minds arise and fall away at all times. The mind that sees visual is different from the others, occurring one after another. A good mind and an evil mind are different instances. They do not occur at the same time. If we look at the mind alone, it rises and falls away extremely rapidly. When you observe the feelings, notice that they arise and fall away. When you observe the body, notice that the body suffers. For all of that you see, there isn't anything that we can control, including the body, the feelings, and the mind itself. Learn the truth so that this life will not be a waste. Keep observing yourself every year. Do not just let the time go by. It will not worth it if you die while life is still being unknown. Keep accumulating the right view and the right understanding into your mind as life goes on. In this life, if you have collected enough merit, you will achieve the noble paths and the noble fruits or even obtain nirvana. If you have not collected enough merit, you have obtained the right view and the right understanding which will get carried over to the next life, and that will ease your practice in that life. Have you noticed that the mindfulness is easy for some people, but difficult for some others? The reason is that not everybody has collected the same amount of merit from the previous lives. For those who did not practice before, only collected delusion, the practice would become difficult for them. For those who did practice before, being mindful, feeling the body, seeing the phenomena, the practice would become easy. Everything is fair. What you do is definitely what you get. If you do it, you will get the result. Therefore, do not let your life be wasted by just letting the time go by for years and years. It is pointless. Now it is time for you guys to eat. Eating is also part of the practice. When the mind wants to eat the food, be aware. When the body is chewing, also be aware, otherwise you will bite your own tongue.